Hey, what's up, everybody? Jake and Nicole here, and we are in the beautiful home of Steve and Amy Stewart in Nashville, Tennessee, where you just heard we're going to be planting a church next year in 2022.
I know. So before you hear how we got here, let's talk about you getting to know our newest family members, Amy and Steve. You have 3 gorgeous children, Asher, Finn, and Tallulah. And so you have a long journey from, where you guys began to where you are now. So tell us a bit about yourselves.
Yeah, so Steve and I met in 2007, actually at C3 College in Sydney. I'm originally from England and Steve's from North Carolina. But we were part of C3 churches before we went to college. Met there, and true to its nickname, Bridal College, it worked for us.
Yes.
So we met there, had a whirlwind romance, visa applications, how you move to a new country, packed up everything I owned, and at the end of 2008, it was, wasn't it? 2008, we moved to Atlanta to be part of C3 Atlanta. And we were there for 5 years before we went and helped start C3 on 78, which was about a 30-minute drive from the main campus. And yeah, we were part of the pastoral team there, loved it. And then in 2019, we finally moved to Nashville.
Yes.
To start something here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Nashville has been a dream and something stirring inside of y'all's hearts for many years.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that journey of how you finally got to get to Nashville.
Yeah, so Amy and I, when we got married, we knew that we wanted to plant a church. It was inside of us, and God had given us that dream. We thought we were going to move to Atlanta for 6 months to a year and then get sent out once they got to know us and saw how capable we are.
How awesome we were.
Yes. And at the time, I had started working full-time and was traveling to Nashville quite a bit for work. And it was just something that going into the city, it just like my heart would leap. I used to tell Amy all the time, just going over, there's a hill in Nashville coming from Atlanta. When you cross over it, you could see the skyline suddenly, and just my spirit would leap every time I would see the skyline.
Awesome.
I'd come home and say, Nashville's it, Nashville's it. And this lasted for probably 7 years. And it got to the point where we were just like, maybe this isn't the time, because anytime we'd pray about it, we wouldn't feel like God was releasing us to go. And, there were so many opportunities and so many times that we wanted to go, but we never felt released. And so in 2019, we were praying and fasting for a lot of great things for our family and, a lot of conveniences and stuff, that really holy Christians do. And things were going really well. We had, the church was going really well, work was going really well, family had gotten easy, and everything just seemed like it was on cruise control.
Wow.
And God said, now's the time to go. And so we packed up.
Love it.
And I cried first.
Of course, obviously. And then here we are, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Amazing. So good. And then you guys were sharing a story about a giving campaign that you did in Atlanta to sow into the church plant in Los Angeles, which is our roots, where our church, as it exists today, comes from.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a cool full circle story.
Yeah, so when we had first gotten married, it was in the middle of a financial crisis, which timing seems to be impeccable between us and God. And so we got married, moved to Atlanta, could not find a job for months. And of course, you run up debt, and we just could not, had any money for anything. And God was really challenging us at the time. Amy was more Christ-like than me at the time, but generosity and giving was something that I struggled with for a long time. And God was really challenging me, this concept of the tithe. And so we had eventually discussed it and decided we're going to trust God and start giving a tithe to the church. But then this building campaign came about, and it was, they started talking about giving to these group of people that had recently moved to California a few months before, and they were going to plant a C3 church in Los Angeles. And, I thought, oh, that seems like a good thing. And then they said, well, we want you to give above and beyond your tithe for this. And I thought, absolutely not. This is not something we're going to do. I just got convinced to doing the tithe. And the more we chatted and prayed about it, we decided we don't want to come empty-handed.
Wow.
We want to come before God and sow into this new church. And we decided that we weren't sowing money. At the time, it was $5 a week, which seemed like $5,000 a week to us. But what we're really sowing into was the people and believing that God was going to transform the city, transform people. And it's just crazy how full circle now those people are you guys watching right now.
That's
we're
right.
at $5. We're going towards changed lives, and those changed lives are now sowing back into us and into Nashville. So
yeah, here we are partnering up together, Los Angeles and Nashville,
coming
under the same roof as a church, and it's an amazing thing, and we're just so honored to partner with you guys.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool is you guys you moved up here in 2019 with your entire family. Right at that time, there's a tornado that rips through the city, literally just like a couple miles from your house, destroyed your kids' school. It's in shambles, but yet you still have this call and this, desire to plan and build this team around you, which we got to finally meet and experience just this weekend.
It's August right now, so we're here a couple of months before you're watching this video.
Yeah.
And we got to be here this weekend and meet your team, and honestly, just full of the most amazing people who are so committed to seeing C3 Nashville thrive.
Yeah, and it's such a testimony, I think, to you guys being so faithful and willing and servant-hearted to the mission God's placed on your lives for this city. To watch that team in that room this morning, the service is over, we're done gathering, and you can't get them out of the room, and they're just a mixed bag from every which direction, but here they are just already what you guys have built through one of the most incredible years, right? 2020. You've already built something so true to who we are as a C3 culture as a whole. And then, tell a bit, babe, the full story of you giving them the call in February because you felt Nashville. And we're like, but we're only doing it if these guys are on board.
So there's obviously a connection between Nashville and Los Angeles in terms of cities go, and we've been feeling that connection develop between the two cities more and more recently. And so I felt it back in February to action upon a thought that I've kind of had in the back of my mind for, several months, and give Steve a call and see, hey, maybe our churches should come together, and instead of y'all launching out and planting by yourself, maybe you should come be a part of the C3LA family and become a location of what God's doing in our church. So that was the initial phone call. And I thought he was either going to be like, oh, wow, that's a really cool idea, or be completely offended at my suggestion. Thank God it was the former. And there was some conversations that obviously followed from that initial one. And early on in the summer, we decided this is definitely a God thing, and this is something that's that we're called to do as a church. And so this isn't just us doing it. It's not just even their team here in Nashville doing it. This is all of us together as a church family doing it. So maybe you're asking yourself, how can you be involved? I would say number one, absolutely, we need your prayers. Be praying for this church plant. Be praying for Steve and Amy and their children, their team. Church planting is not for the faint of heart. And so they need as much prayer as we can give them. Number two, maybe you feel like you should be a part of this. Maybe God is speaking to some of you right now, and you're thinking, I need to uproot myself from Los Angeles and come and be a part of this church plant. Guys, we welcome that. And if God is speaking to you about that, we want to hear about it. Make sure you connect with your location pastor and talk about what that could look like. Maybe it's not you coming here. Number three, you probably know friends here, family here, and for you to point them in our direction would just be awesome. C3Nashville.com, at C3 Nashville on Instagram, on Facebook as well. We want to connect with them and get them plugged into what is going to be an amazing church. We're looking ahead with vision to next year to launch, but in the meantime, we're building team, we're praying, we're gathering, neighborhood groups are up and running, and we believe that God is going to do something really significant. So C3LA, here we go, church plant number 3 here in Nashville of the United States. It's awesome. We love you. God bless you guys.